Hi golfers, Nick here from GOLFTEC Singapore. It's Friday, so welcome to another lesson on golf tips. This week on golf tips, we're going to talk about maintaining your inclination to the ground, or in other words, keeping your head still. So a lot of players, a lot of coaches refer to it as keeping your spine angle. However, I'm going to explain today that actually every good player changes their spine angle throughout the golf swing. There's a combination of movements that help you keep your head in the box or keep your inclination to the ground. So we're going to be using the 3D motion here at GOLFTEC to explain to you the 3 different movements that acquire to keep your head in that box. So today we're going to talk about 3 movements we have to combine to keep our head in the box. Now, one of them is rotation, so how much the shoulders turn. Okay, so we all know that one, everyone knows how to turn. I'm just going to focus on the 2 movements that we have to combine to keep our head in the box, keep our inclination to the ground. So one of them is the bend of the shoulders. So if you look on the screen here, you see how the bend is, say, 44 degrees. If I lean back, that goes to a backward bend. So that's my forward and backward bend. I've also got a shoulder tilt. So if I stand upright, it's close to 0, 2 degrees to the right. If I move to the right, you can see that's changing 30 degrees to the right. And if I move to the left, it changes 30 degrees to the left. So throughout the swing, our body or our spine or our shoulder tilt is actually changing. Okay, give you a good example. If I was to maintain my forward bend, and technically this would be staying in my spine angle. If I was to do this, you see my forward bend's like 40ish. If I maintain 40, what happens to my head? Okay, see how much that head's moved. That's me keeping my spine angle, or keeping the same angle my spine is to the ground. Okay, we also have shoulder tilt, and that's another interesting one. I talked about this a little bit before, but it's basically, as I set up, my shoulder tilt is going to be roughly 10 degrees to the right. So that's basically my shoulder tilt here. You can see from the right hand screen, that's 5 degrees. That's roughly the angle of this shaft, is roughly like the shoulder tilt. So because your right arm's lower, that's where the sort of side tilt comes. However, in the swing, as I start to move back, that becomes a leftward tilt quite early on. So you can see how in this left hand picture from down the line, you can see the shoulder tilt is actually moving to the left as I start to swing back. So basically what that is my shoulder moving downwards in the swing. So to keep my head in the box, I have to move out of a forward bend of say 40 to 0, but also at the same time I have to go from a slightly rightward side tilt at the beginning to a leftward tilt in the backswing, which is basically me doing that, but I'm doing it while I come out of the forward bend as well. So I'm combining those 2 movements, so the side tilt to the left and the forward bend from forward to 0 roughly on the backswing. So today I'm going to do 2 swings. I'm going to do one where I try and do my sort of normal swing, try and keep my head in the box. We're going to look at the numbers that come out from that. It's going to be hopefully close to the tour averages. So shoulder tilt, we're looking at something around 35 to 40 degrees to the left, and then shoulder bend, we're looking around 0. So you can see on the screen there, pretty close to being in the box there, with my head and from both angles. So you can see how those 2 movements are combined to keep the head in the box or keep the inclination to the ground. So the first one would be a sort of normal swing. We're going to look at the club data, we're going to look at the 2 shots, but more importantly, we're going to look at the motion measurement numbers as well. Okay, pretty straight ball flight. Looking at around 175 with a 7-iron there. So let's move on now and do the swing where I try and deliberately move my head out of the box. Okay, so the first shot there, pretty good. 175-ish with a 7-iron. So this one here, I'm now going to try and maintain some forward bend, and also my shoulder tilt, I'm going to try not to tilt as much to the left in this one. So my shoulder's going to turn more level. My forward bend is going to try and maintain, just to show you guys what happens if you try and maintain your forward bend in the swing, what happens to that head and why it moves out of the box. I teach a lot of golfers here at GOLFTEC. Their back swings look like this. They sway to the right, head moves out of the box. Okay, so I hit behind that one. It's going to lose a lot of distance, so when you're moving the head around, it makes it really difficult to control that low point. 140 yards with 7-iron, not great for me. Let's sit down now and take a look at the data, look at that 3D motion. Okay, so you see me hit 2 shots there on the quad, just looking at club ball data first of all. So the first one, which is a normal swing, so you're looking around about 168 carry. The path was 1 degree into out, and it was 3 degrees downwards. You see the ball strike was straight out the middle, ball flight was straight, so it's a pretty good golf shot. Second one, the club head speed dropped by sort of 5-6 miles an hour. The path was very similar, 2 degrees into out. However, this is where you start to see the differences. First of all, the carry only carried 125. You saw it hit behind there, and I actually hit upwards on the ball. So when we're looking at the swing table, look maybe why I hit upwards, and that's one of the biggest issues I see here at GOLFTEC is golfers moving out of the box with the head, either generally keeping too much forward bend. I see it quite a lot, and because of that moves the head, and then it makes it very difficult to get that low point right. And quite often players hit behind and they hit up on the ball with an iron, which is no good to anyone. So we've got the two swings up here, you can see them on the screen. At setup they look identical, so you can see these numbers are green, so this is sort of in the range of where the tour players are. So if we move the left hand picture to the top of the backswing, you can see how that forward bend has changed. It says B, so that's B for backward. So if I was to draw an arrow, that's that sensor at the top of my spine there, just pointing 4 degrees backwards. However, the one on the right here, this is pointing 12 degrees forward, so I'm maintaining too much forward bend on the right, and that's why that head has basically moved completely outside of that box, whereas on the left there, it's banging the box, so pretty good. So we're just going to take a look at the impact position, see maybe why I hit behind the ball on this one on the right. So on normal golf swing, you can see the head stays almost banging the box the whole way through the backswing, top of the backswing, and then impact. That's what makes it consistent. You can see how much this head's moving, and I didn't actually get it back into position. I see that a lot. So as I hit into the golf ball on the right here, my head's behind, and that's one of the reasons why your low point would be behind. So I'm trying to get it back into the box. I'm sure I'll get it there eventually as I go through, but it's almost too late. So there's too much head movement with my swing on the right here. So backswing, impact, follow through. Back, set up, backswing, impact, follow through. If we look at my golf swing, set up, backswing, impact, follow through. So you can see here, I'm just going to bring up the backward bend for the finish as well, because we've talked about this a little bit in the past. So if we look at the backward bend on the finish, full team back, it's not enough, it's still yellow. However, getting towards 34 degrees back is basically where the tour players are. So you can see how on the left here, my hips are more forward of my head, and that's me extending my spine into the finish, and you can see how much more easy it is to be consistent if you keep that head in the box and move the spine in a correct way. Let's move the camera around to down the line, just look at the inclination and see how the head moves in that respect. Okay, so as before, the one on the left is my normal golf swing. See how the head stays in the box, and then the one on the right, you see how the head lifts up. So what we're also looking at here is the way the shoulders turn. So if I just put a line across my shoulders, you can see the angle that they're turning on is very different. So we're going to bring up the side tilt numbers. We talked about this on the video. Talks about how the side tilt works. So basically in my normal golf swing, you see my side tilt was 38 to the left, whereas the one on the right here is 28 to the left. So my shoulders are turning flatter with this swing on the right compared to the one on the left. And when you look at the tour players, they turn their shoulders on a slightly steeper angle than the average golfers. There's been studies done on this. I've talked about it in a lot of videos, but I just thought I'd show you this viewpoint. So this is me keeping my inclination to the ground, not keeping my spine angle. We've seen the spine angle changes, it's flex and it's bend, it side tilts to the left, and it comes out the forward bend to sort of a zero or even a slightly backward bend. If you look at some of the longest hitters, they actually go into a backward bend in the backswing, and that helps you move your left arm around the body to create power. Also helps you keep your inclination to the ground. So thanks for watching, golfers. Any questions on that, post them in the box below. If you don't already, please follow me on my other social media platforms, and we see you again next week for another video at GOLFTEC.